Hi everyone. I know that we had our very small canvas book for today, but at the request of a few of our artists, we've actually done a slightly bigger one. So I'm going to show you today the bigger canvas, and if you would like to do the smaller canvas, that's absolutely fine. You just don't put so much detail in it. This is the smaller canvas that we had advertised for today. It's a nice little canvas. But as I said, at the request of a few people who can't get the stock, we have done something bigger, which is this one. So today, come and do this with us. All right, so load your brush up with red first. First thing. And what I want you to do is, because this, if you have a look at this painting again, about halfway down, oh, you can't see it that way. Let me turn it this way. About halfway down is where the red is. Okay, so that's where we want our red to be. So I'm going to paint red right across the canvas to about halfway down. You see mine's come out a little bit watery, so I'm going to add some more paint to mine. These nice big brush strokes. Now I want you to mix some yellow into your red. I'm going to add some more red because I've used quite a bit here. So let me add some more red to my palette. When you add these paints, you're going to add the dark one to the light one and mix it slowly. So because it goes dark very quickly. So I'm going to put a little bit of red in the palette there and then take a little bit of yellow and mix it in. You can see it's quite a dark orange. A little bit more yellow, mix it in until I've got a nice orange. You might have to add some more yellow in at a later stage. So I've got a nice orange there. Make sure you get a nice orange.
How beautiful. Yeah, lovely.
And then when you're happy with that color, we're going to paint the orange across the red. So we will be going down below the red, but right now I want to put some orange across the middle of the red like that. And then go a little bit further down the canvas with that orange that I've made. And what that does is it blends the red in quite nicely. I'm going to make it go all the way up again. So it blends the orange and the red quite nicely. If you have too much red on your brush, wash it off. I'm going to dry my brush because I need to. And then add some more orange, load some more orange onto my brush. So now I'm going down below where I've done the mix of the two colors.
Look, you have lots of red still in it, just a bit. Yeah.
How's your blend looking? If the way to blend your paints is to go over them like that, all the way up. Mine's blended. Can you see without the shine there? I've got a few streaks, but I'm happy with streaks in my sky because it looks like sky. Sky is never really all one color. Brilliant. When you're happy with that blend, what I want you to do is wash your brush off. Make sure it's clean, doesn't have too much orange on it because we want to load it up with yellow only. And then I'm going to paint all the rest of the canvas with plain yellow down the bottom. If you need to mix your paint, do it with some water. Make it a little bit more liquid. Now I've painted all the way down to the bottom of the canvas, right up to the orange. And I'm then going to go slightly over the orange. Go over and over it like that so it blends in nicely. So I've got a nice blend of colors going down my canvas.
It doesn't matter, honestly, it doesn't matter.
One of the tricks with acrylic paint is to make it blend because it's not the easiest thing to blend. Right, we're ready to move on to the next bit. So the next bit, we're painting this a sun in there. Load some white on that brush. Okay, so I'm going to put my sun round there, I would say. It's going down, so there's still a bit of yellow behind my sun. I'm going to paint a semicircle there. That's where my sun is. Right. And I think I'm happy with that sun being where it is there. Make sure that you're happy with yours. So if I'm using the same brush, cleaned it off, got no white on it anymore, and I'm going to load some black on that now. I've only put a little bit of black on here because I thought we were doing the small canvas, so put as much as you want. With this big brush, I'm going to give myself a land mass, which is that the width of this brush all the way across the bottom of the picture.
Okay.
To do that grass, I'm only using this brush and I'm using the shape of the brush. So the brush tip here is going to be the tip of my grass. If you just touch that brush across the top of your
Do you want to lay it down now?
background there,
And I can
you're
make
just touching it and you're going over the edge of the background line of black that you've done and touching that brush using the tip of it to make the grass.
Oh, I've got on the wall. It doesn't matter.
You can see that I've got
Can you see
just a little bit of grassy interest in there. When you take the paint and you put it on your brush, turn it, use the side of the palette and turn your brush like that. Get rid of the paint, as much of the paint as you can until you have a tip. You can create a point on your brush by getting rid of a lot of the paint. And then when you put it down there, you've got a point like that. Don't be too particular about which way it goes either. It doesn't have to be perfectly up and down. It can go left, it can go right. Grass gets wind blown. And then when I've done all of that across, I'm going to make sure I've got no hard line where I put that line of paint. I don't want it to be a hard line. I want it to look like it blends into the grass. So can you see from close up? Same brush, I'm giving myself a trunk, but I'm going to paint another one here, which is slightly bigger, slightly thicker, and then maybe one slightly smaller just beside it. So these are my trunks for my trees. And then maybe another one there. You can see they're at different levels, different heights, and a little bit further away. Can you see? But as I said, these are umbrella trees. So once you've got yourself some trunks for these trees, I need you to put maybe one or two little branches going across the top of the tree like that. Maybe a slightly different branch going across the tree like that. Another one there, one there. And then these trees, so you got those, they're not equal. You can do another one on the top there. This is up to you where you put these branches. My little branches from far away. Now, taking the same brush with the paint, you can see I've still got a point on that brush. So if you've got too much paint on it, rub the paint off so that you've only got a little bit of paint. Experiment with how much paint you need on that brush. I'm going to start putting in my leaves. Now my leaves are going to start far away from where my branches are, and I'm going to start putting dots like that, using the tip of my brush, like that, to make the first umbrella tree. Let me hold it closer so you can see where, that way, there we go. Yeah. So all I've done is I've used the tip of the brush and I've made little leaves that go across the branches and right across the top of the tree. And that one, because that was my tallest tree, is why I started with that one. I'm going to do smaller ones here. So these umbrella trees are going to be a little bit lower down. That one a little bit lower down. You can still see my trunks underneath, but the big thing that I want you to remember is that you will see sunrise and you will see the yellow coming through those trees. So don't paint too close to each other. Make sure that there's still some sunlight coming through your trees. Don't put your leaf on the branch.
Yeah, because
Have you ever seen a leaf growing out of a branch? It doesn't, it grows out of a twig. But when you're far away from a tree, you can't see that twig. So that's why I say, don't put your leaf on the branch, put it away from the branch and just believe that there are twigs there, that they're on. I'm going to put a few bushes underneath those trees so my grass is a little bit higher. Change the landscape a little bit there. Another thing is, trees are never straight. They might look straight. You might think they're straight, but they aren't. So if they're wobbly, that's absolutely fine. So I'm going to put my tree slightly over my sun here. If your sun's still a bit wet, just stay away from the edge of your sun. And this tree, I'm going to start it from the bottom here, and I'm going to wiggle. Okay, let me load some more paint on there. I'm going to take my brush, and you can see I'm not going to make this straight because no tree is ever straight. And I'm going to wiggle a line like that. Straight-ish, but not quite. There's always lumps and bumps on trees. And the tree is always thicker at the bottom. So if you've got some slightly thicker edges of your tree, just make sure that it's not thicker than at the bottom of the tree. There we go. That's the beginning of my tree.
I've got the beginning of my tree.
I'm going to take a branch off this tree and make it go in this direction. So from that direction, I'm going to join a branch up. See, it's the thickness of that brush again. I'm going to join a branch up to the middle of the trunk there. If you can see my whole picture, I'm not anywhere near the top. I'm about 2/3 of the way up.
I'm quite near the top.
You can make your tree look like anything that you want it to. You don't have to follow me. Just make sure that if you do, I'm going to take another branch coming off here. So it's slightly lower than that branch, and I'm going to make it wobble a little bit. So it's not a straight branch. It's going to go up there. Probably to about there for me. And you can see the top of the branch is always going to be thinner than where it joins the tree. I've got a little bit of a bubble here, which is good for me because that means I can do another branch that comes out of that tree going in that direction. That's why I like having little bubbles on my trees, because it means that I can grow a branch from there. I've got a bit of a bubble here, so I'm going to do a bit of a branch going up that way.
You have to make your trunk a bit fatter now because the branch mustn't be fatter.
And you can see as I'm going higher, my branches are getting thinner than the trunk. So wherever you see a little bubble or a knob on your tree trunk, you can start another branch coming out of there. I don't seem to have too many knobbles on this one, but I'm going to make a branch that comes out like that and goes in that direction there. And then maybe another one that goes from that to there. I don't want to make my tree any higher than that. So wherever my branches start, I'm going to make sure that they don't go too much higher than that. I think I want another branch that comes from about here. I'm going to make a branch that goes off the edge of my canvas from there. Quite a thick branch, that one. Your tree is yours, so you can make it look like any shape that you want. I'm not going to put too many branches on here, maybe another few coming off here. They're getting thinner now. Maybe another one that goes off this direction, crosses that branch there. They're getting a bit thinner. Another one there. Small one there. So as I get higher up the tree, I'm making my branches a little bit thinner.
I think stop. Yeah.
And they're not all going the same direction.
Should I take another picture of your pictures? Yeah, okay.
So that's how my tree is beginning to look, taking a bit of shape there. Let's make this trunk a little bit thicker, and I'm going to put some more bubbles on my trunk.
Do you like my picture?
Oh, you know what? I think maybe I need another one coming off here. That branch looks lonely. There we go. There's my tree. If we're ready to move on, if you don't want to add any more branches, now remember, it's your painting. So you can add anything that you want later. After we're finished, while we're doing this, it's up to you. Because it's your painting. If you think it needs more, then do it. You're the creator. Right, now, we're going to put some leaves on this one. As we did with the leaves across the bottom here, we're not going to put them on the branch. So I'm going to start. I want a few leaves maybe coming from here. Same brush.
Oh, that's far away. Okay.
Put a little bit of black on your brush, and I'm going to start putting some leaves like that.
So you can go into your sun now, and you could go over those black, and then the black dots.
And they're far away from the branch. I'm going to, because this is an umbrella tree, I want to make sure that my leaves form almost, when I'm done with them, form an umbrella. And if you have a look at those brush strokes, you can see, whoop, whoop, there we go. You can see that they don't have to be full. Because these are far away, they just have to be an impression of leaves. So you don't have to have a nice round blob like that of a leaf. Put less paint on your brush and maybe a little bit more water, and you can play with how thick and strong your leaves are. Now you see, I'm not going near that branch. I'm not going on that branch. I'm going around that branch because I know that branch is going to have twigs coming off it like that eventually, which we can do with the smaller brush. I can fill in some leaves like that. There we go. There's going to be some leaves across the top here, way away from the edge, way away from the edge of my branches. There, I'm putting some leaves in there. You can see it's kind of like an umbrella already. And I'm going over the branch. And I'm going to go across here like that. Bring some leaves in the top here over my branch. And you can see they're not like a perfect umbrella. They're up and down and round because that's what nature's all about. It's all different. I'm going to put some over these branches here because I know there's some twigs that go over those areas there, like that.
Twigs.
And I put some on this branch that I put in the corner here. So wherever your branches are, just start putting in some leaves around them. You can always add in some twigs with the small branch, with a small brush later. Right, and you see I've gone over the brush, I've gone over my branches because my leaves will cover the front of the branches as well. And I've got a few more here. Make my tree a little bit fuller, like that. Because if I want to do a giraffe, that giraffe has to be eating these leaves, don't they? So if you're going to have the long giraffe neck coming from your tree, so wherever your tree is, wherever your tree starts, what I would do is measure about halfway down between the grass and your tree, and that's where the giraffe body is going to go, about halfway down. Okay, so I'm going to do my giraffe there. So his body is going to be there. Now, his body, I'm taking the very smallest brush, so I've got control. His body actually goes down at a slope like that. So if you make kind of, he's got a little bit of a rectangular body that looks like that. Rounded across the bottom here. He's got long legs. So that's the body of my giraffe. I might have to make his body a little bit bigger. Just depends on how far he has to stretch for those leaves. Or maybe I'll put those leaves down a little bit further. It's your choice.
Yeah, know when to stop, otherwise it's getting too big.
And I'm just rounding it.
The front of the giraffe's body is a little bit fatter than the back. So the bottom of the giraffe's body is almost parallel with your grass, even though the top is at an angle. He's got more shoulder than he has got back leg. Okay? So if you're there, what we do then is we take from the front of that,
Don't do any more.
from the front of his body, so mine kind of looks like that. From the front of his body here, I'm going to make his neck go straight up, and his neck is going to go to around there. So from the front of the body, I'm going to give him that nice long neck like that. Looks a bit like an ostrich right now. I'm going to make his neck a bit thicker because he has got a bit of a thicker neck. And it joins to his body, joins to the top of his shoulders like that. Right, now we're going to do the front legs, and the front legs are about the same length as the neck, and I'm going to do them so he's balanced. I'm going to do them almost at the same angle and coming up from the ground, join them to the body like that. Thin line, one thin leg, and then the next one right next door to him, to that one. Two legs close together, two thin legs. And make them a little bit thicker at the top, like that. Keep them thin across the bottom. Back leg is a little bit more interesting because it comes in before it goes down, a thin line down like that. So, and then you join up the hip to that back leg like that. And I'd say because he's leaning forward, let's make this other back leg stretch out a little bit like that. Paint the hip in too. So there's his legs. Maybe give him a little bit more of a hip there. So there's his legs. Now his head. His head is a teardrop shape. I'm going to put it facing slightly up, and it's a teardrop which attaches to the top of his neck like that. And meets the back of his neck. So now he's got the same length neck as he has his legs coming down here. I'm going to give him, because all giraffes have horns, so I'm going to give him two little horns across the top of his head there, but quite close together. He is in silhouette. Two thin little horns, like that. And then he's got an ear. He's got two big ears. He's almost got springbok ears, so it's like buck ears. I'm going to give him those two big ears, well, one big ear, because he's in silhouette. So let's just give him this ear on this side here. Give him a nice big ear on that side there. And he's eating. It's got a little bit of a lip on the top there. He's eating a leaf. His leaf, the leaves don't quite meet his face. I'll go and fix that up just now. He's got a little tail as well, so I'm going to give him a nice little insouciant tail there with a little bit of hair on the end of that tail. There we go. It's got a little tail. Now, let's put some leaves in here. Since he's eating these leaves, let's bring them all the way back down to where he's eating them. to his head. Well, I'm going to do some birds now. Now, the thing to remember with birds is that the wings are equal and opposite. So whatever you do for the first wing, putting a very little bit of black on my thin brush, and whatever you do for the first wing, you're going to do for the second wing. So if I put a wing that goes like that there, let's put a little bit more black on that brush. Give it a wing that looks like that. I'm going to do the equal and opposite on the other side. And then give him a body. That bird's got a bit of a body. So there's my bird. A little bit too much paint on there, but that's the way it goes now. My red paint's a little bit wet underneath. I'm going to give myself another bird here. Comes down. And equal and opposite wing, like that. So whatever you do for the first wing, second wing's got to be the same. Let's give him a body as well. He's coming towards me, so I'm going to give him a body that's a little blob across the bottom of his body there. Another bird. Equal and opposite. Give him a second wing and a body underneath. Like that. I've got my birds. What I'm going to do is fill in a few little birds on this side as well, because as I said before, there's no mistake. All you do is you fix it, put something in place. There, got a little bit of a bird there, and I want to do another bird down here, like so. It's got a bit of a body as well. There we go. So there's my African sunset. And the only thing I have to do now is sign it. So I am going to sign my African sunset with a Kim on this side here. There we go. Right, guys. That's it. Nice and simple, nice and easy, and you can get it done fairly quickly.